Hello friends, this is Scott and Mr. Lincoln. We're down here at the hobby farm on a beautiful early fall day. It's probably going to be 65, 70 degrees, if not hotter here down here. And it's time to plant the garlic for next season. Now, I've done many videos on garlic. People may be getting tired of those videos, but garlic is one of my favorite vegetables to grow. It's one of the easiest to grow. But you do have to do it in the fall before the next harvest season, which would probably be in June to July. Down here at the hobby farm, it'll probably be July sometime. Up in Salt Lake City when I plant, it's June because the weather's a little milder there. But anyway, we've been down here and I've been showing you in previous videos that we're layering. We're doing the lasagna method of putting cardboard down and then I'm screening a bunch of soil. And then my plan is to have horse manures and chicken manure and compost and all the good stuff I screen out of my compost bin in Salt Lake City and bring it down here. Well, like most of my projects, the season has gotten by me and it's time to plant the garlic, and I have not got everything done that I need to get done. What I've done down here so far on the bed is I've expanded the garden so that next year we should be able to plant many more vegetables. Got to bring lots more materials down here, but right now I'm just worried about, I got cardboard down, I've got a couple layers of soil that I've screened from the big pile of dirt in the back. I throw down some biochar from the burn barrel. I'm going to rake that out. And I brought down today we got bone meal, and we have blood meal. And that is the only amendments that I'm going to use for planting my garlic. Now, I was in IFA, which is Intermountain Farmers in Utah. If you don't know, it's just it's a farm store. And if you buy a 3-pack of these cloves of garlic, these seed garlic, it was like $8, $9 for 3 heads of garlic. So if I'm going to plant, close to 30, heads of garlic broken down, which is maybe 300 cloves, I'm spending $30 on seed garlic. I've had the best luck with store-bought soft neck garlic in my climate here, zone 5, 6. This stuff is the best. It grows well. It's just grocery store prices. So if you could go to a Mexican store or one of those stores that are not quite as inflated in cost, you can get garlic pretty reasonably. And that's all you need to plant. You don't need to go out and buy all this fancy seed garlic. Now, if you're a connoisseur and you want to try different garlic, great. I've tried that in the past and I've had very poor success. I brought a bunch of seed garlic from California to Utah, planted it all, and hardly anything came up. So, the garlic that's in your area is the stuff that's going to grow. And I think garlic is pretty much grown everywhere. I think we're probably not sourcing our garlic at the grocery stores very far from the location of sale, at least in my area. Who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but this stuff works wonders, always does the job, and we don't need to spend tons of money on seed garlic. So the simplest thing with garlic is, again, you have a head of garlic which probably has 10, 12 cloves in here. It depends on the size of the garlic, right? You want to grow the biggest, or plant the biggest garlic cloves to get the biggest bulbs the next season. That's at least the theory anyway. I'll plant everything I've got. I'm not going to plant the small ones too because I'll still get something out of it. But when you want to have the big seed heads of garlic, these are the ones to get. Now, hardneck varieties are a lot bigger. Okay, softneck varieties are not as large, but this is a nice head of softneck garlic, and we are going to plant this today. And all we're going to do is we're just going to break this up into cloves, and I'll put the seed head down here. And you've got a pointy side up, and you've got the root side down. About 1 inch into the soil, that's all you need to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to amend the soil. I'm going to rake it out. I'm going to spread the bone meal and blood meal, just to explain what I'm going to be doing. And then I'll start voiceovering again like I usually do. And then I'll just push these garlic. I'll separate them all out. I'll spread them out in the garden, to the exact spacing, and then I'll just shove them into the soil. And then in the future, my plan is I'm going to grab some the chicken compost out of the chicken yard, which isn't finished compost by any means, but I'm going to use that as a mulch because it's got some bigger chunks, because the winters here are pretty harsh. Again, garlic needs a winter cycle, but we don't want to, have it freeze solid right away before it even gets established. Now, last year at my home garden, I made the mistake of planting my garlic, or I did an experiment of planting my garlic in my raised bed later than I've ever planted before. Had terrible success. The garlic I planted down here, maybe a week later than I am right now, did good. The soil is still going to take years to mature into what I want it to be. I'm always going to be adding materials. Again, this is a no-till method. I'm just going to be adding layers and layers of organic matter, let the soil life come up and move those nutrients throughout the soil, create the air holes and the places for water and fertility to be pulled down into the soil. So trying to do it all naturally. I am going to use a few bags of dirt today because again, I ran out of time and don't have enough to get everything down here that I need. And I need to get this planted because I don't know, with weather, you never know. I could be too late if I don't get it planted. And today is a glorious day. I mean, yeah, you couldn't ask for a better day. Fall is my favorite time of the year. Spent yesterday, I was doing I'll do a video on it, just cleaning up and tidying up the edges of the garden beds. I've not had the resources yet or time to put in the landscape timbers or whatever I'm going to do for edging. And so the weeds and the grasses did infiltrate my garden beds that I put in last year. But the soil is it's maturing. I didn't plant much in those beds, but over time I'll be filling this yard up, and we'll be making it really good over the number of years. So it's a long plan, not short term. So today's video is, again, garlic, and I have a playlist of the garlic videos. I've been growing garlic for many years. So if you like garlic and you want to plant garlic, you got to do it in the late fall or early to late fall, and then it's got to overwinter. It needs a cold spell, and then it'll come up in the spring. Now don't be alarmed if your garlic does sprout before the snow falls. That's just fine. Just mulch it in. The leaves are fine. They'll just stick up out of the snow or get buried by the snow. And then once the weather warms up in the spring and all that water melts into the ground, these garlic just take off. And again, June in Salt Lake City is when we harvest, and down here it's in July. You can always pull some earlier, have green garlic, which is just immature garlic that still has a lot of flavor. So anyway, hope you enjoy this video. And again, this is a little bit different, do a little intro. Up in Salt Lake City, it's so noisy that I don't have a lot of time or ability or opportunity to just talk to you straight on. So anyway, well, here we go. We're going to be planting the seed garlic today. Thanks for watching. First step I'm doing is I'm chopping up the biochar that I'd dumped on top of this, a couple layers of soil. There's some pretty good sized chunks here. Stuff breaks up pretty easily. I'm not worried about how small the material is, other than just to make the bed smoothed out. Now this is bone meal. As you can see, it's just a white powdery, and it's just bone crushed up. And just don't do this on a really windy day, or at least be upwind from it. And just spread it out, nothing fancy, just on top of the soil, as I will be raking all this in. But this is what helps the roots develop. Bone meal is a lot of the stuff that helps the underground. Now there's blood meal, which is all nitrogen. So this will help obviously the tops grow. So I'm just measuring scientifically, as you see here, like I always do. And yeah, I'm just throwing it out there and just get a little bit on there. And then we'll be adding more and more materials and lots of materials with all different types of nutrients. And I'm not a big soil tester. I just like to kind of do the best I can and see what happens. You can be a lot more scientific than I am, for sure. And I'm just going to rake this out, and I just want to make kind of a rounded bed and just get the chunks broken up, get everything kind of mixed together so that I'm ready to plant into this material. But yeah, rake this out. Then I've got a couple bags of soil you see there that I'm going to dump out and just give them just a little bit on the top. And I'll plant directly into this material, about 1 inch deep. I want the tops to be covered up just a little bit. I don't want bulbs exposed. Inevitably, when you're doing this, you'll miss a few, or they'll push themselves out of the soil. No big deal. If you see those, you just push them back in the soil. So not a big deal. Again, this was an organic bag of soil that I happened to have. And then the other one was for trees and shrubs from Miracle-Gro. And I was going to plant another tree, and I had this bag sitting around, and I'm just going to use it because I need it. So yeah, I want to have a little bit better material on top right now. And just rake all that in. Again, just rounding the bed, not trying to make it look too fancy, or it doesn't need to be. It's just I just want it to be able to be kind of organized and be ready to plant. And yeah, good enough. So here is the finished little section that I'm going to plant today. And I brought 26 heads of garlic down here. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to plant all of that. I thought I was going to plant some at the school garden, but here they are. And I'm just going to go ahead and plant them all here. I could always go get some more. So I'll run to the store again and grab some for the school garden. We'll plant next week, probably. And this is what it looks like with some of them broken up. And there's some really big ones. There's some like, saucer kind of shaped ones, and then there's smaller ones, and there's even a lot smaller. Again, I'm going to plant them all, but the bigger the clove, the bigger the bulb probably. And there's the carnage from all the paper left over. And all I'm going to do is lay these out on top of the soil. Now, when you're planting anything into the ground, don't bury it right away. Just stagger stuff out so that you see where it's at, and then push it all in the ground, because it's too easy to, if I was just to push these in the ground, to get lost where I'm at, and then you don't know, and then you have weird rows, weird sections, and you miss areas, and you double plant areas. So just always lay out your seed garlic on the surface. I do the same thing with onions too, just so that when I do push them in, I know that I have the proper spacing, which is about 4 to 6 inches apart. And then I'll push them in here in just a little bit, but I'll show you finish the planting process. Continuing to just lay them out. I'm not going to bore you with showing you all of the layout, but it only takes a few minutes. Again, there's probably literally, I think there's 26 heads. There's at least probably 260 to 300 cloves of garlic in here, and when I get done. So it should be a pretty good harvest of garlic. It should be about double what I normally plant, and we'll see. Yeah, I like to give some away too. So just finishing up with the last few. And again, it's very, very simple. And here we go. I just lay them out kind of in lines and try to stagger them kind of in a little triangle patterns if I can, but I'm not that worried about it. And there again is the bottom. That's the top. Again, that's the bottom, and that's got to go down. So the root side goes down. You push it down in the soil. And here we go. I'm not going to, again, bore you with pushing all these into the soil, but I always look at them. Some of them are a little hard to tell, so you got to make sure you don't want to plant them upside down. That'll really screw up your garlic. So make sure you got root side down. And if you don't know, just take a good close look and then shove them in the ground. But again, this test takes minutes. This was not a long process. It took longer to set up cameras today than it did to actually plant all this garlic. But it's kind of a fun project, and we'll see how we do next year. Hopefully we'll have a lot of good ones, because this is a full sun area. You see, I planted them closer to that tree you see there last year, and again, that tree is late to put on its leaves, so the garlic got a lot of early, spring sun. But this place where I'm planting them now will get full sun all the time, so it'll be good. I'm just fluffing them in, just covering them up. There we are, and there's my completed planting bed. And again, there's lots of layers of material in this. There'll be more coming. I'll mulch this after the tops come up a little bit, but there is the ones I grabbed out of the volunteers that I had come out of my little raised bed at home that I showed you a couple videos ago, and I just went ahead and planted those in the end of the garden. So we'll see how those do. Again, they're small cloves, but we'll see. We'll see how they mature. I'll be able to tell who they are, because they're the ones that are farthest on the right side of the bed. Then you got to make sure you water it in really, really good. A lot of people make the mistake of doing a lot of layers, and they don't water it in deep enough, and then the moisture doesn't get down where it needs to be. And then you have a desert underneath, moist soil on top. So you want to have it all moist all the way down, and it'll stay moist generally. So, well, thanks for watching. That's as hard as this process is. And again, next June or July, we'll have some garlic. Thanks for watching.